All right. Yes. Yes. Oh man, I cannot tell you. See, I'm all choked up here. I have been looking forward to doing this all week. A lot of stuff to talk about in the NFL. Basically, I'm going to just kind of. Let me double check here. Make sure I'm on YouTube. I want to make sure I'm good to go. Okay. All right. My bad here. All right. My bad here. Oh man, oh man, so much. Yes. One Pride 40. What do I think of Dan Campbell's staff? This is a great staff. Let me see what I got here. Anthony Lynn and Aaron Glenn. Also, I've been saying for a long time, I thought it was going to be Dorsey and Bieniemy. Getting Dorsey as a senior executive assistant is genius. And this is kind of what you do in the coaching ranks, is that when you bring in a rookie head coach, you bring in a coach with experience. Well, they brought in a rookie GM, so they brought in as a coordinator. He's a senior executive, somebody with lots of experience. There's a story about John Dorsey with the Kansas City Chiefs when he was in the war room, and it was third or fourth round of the draft, and there was a reporter, and he was with Dorsey, and Dorsey said, okay, it was like pick 80. I don't know the exact number. And he said, this team's going to pick this guy, and this team, and at 81, this player's going to go. In 82, he did this 5 times, got all 5 of them right. His pulse, his finger on the pulse of the NFL is on like anybody I've ever seen. By the way, if you don't know anything about the draft, I'm going to tell you this for a fact. You will never find anybody who in the middle of the third round will get 5 consecutive picks right. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. John Dorsey did that. John Dorsey has such a good idea of what people are going to go for. He's also the one who executed the Cleveland Browns trade. He's also the one. By the way, the Kansas City Chiefs, there's not 10 people more responsible than John Dorsey for Kansas City getting the 2 Super Bowls, hopefully winning 2. The Browns got to the playoffs. There's not 5 people more responsible than John Dorsey. He took a 2-14 franchise, led them to the playoffs the next year. And I'm going to stop the rant right now, but Dorsey is phenomenal. Anthony Lynn is a perfect offensive coordinator. Aaron Glenn, an up-and-coming as a defensive coordinator. This is brilliant what they're doing. They've made one big mistake. They've made one major mistake. And I'm going to get through some comments here. Yeah, you do. You really do. You have an A+. You've done almost everything right. Almost everything right. There's one big F up that Detroit did. Wow, that would be awesome. I didn't know that. Yeah, Lions, this is a good day to be a Lions fan, man. Good day to be a Lions fan. Yes, it is. Mike, Lions Super Bowl. Well, probably not 2022. Yeah. All right. Only here to hit the like button. Have a good show. Hey, Funk, man. By the way, I'm sorry I missed your comment. This has been kind of a crazy week for me. You know what? It just personal things, so I apologize. But man, yeah, Funk left me a comment about Stafford in 7 to the Jets, Miami for 3-18, and I believe that's correct. And I'm going to touch base on how Detroit really screwed the pooch on Stafford. I'll touch base on that. I just want to get some comments in here. Dorsey has a great taste in quarterbacks. Dorsey was the one who picked Mayfield. I thought that they were going to go with Darnold because I remember Darnold didn't throw at the combine. And normally when you don't throw at the combine and you have all these other guys that do, I thought it was because they already reached an agreement. Well, it turns out to be he went with Baker Mayfield because Baker Mayfield just was like, hey, dude, what do you want me to do? I'll do the 40. I'll throw. I'll catch. And you could – tell me Baker Mayfield's not that good of a guy, but ultimately it did work. It really did work. The only issue that I would say, I'm not as high on Baker Mayfield as most people, but reminds me he's a modern day Jim McMahon. He's going to have some good games. I don't think he's ever going to be elite. I don't, but was he better than Sam Darnold as of right now? Yes. Is he as good as Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? No. No, he's not. So. Well, the major task will be getting all these new coaches, advisors, GM. It is going to be a big task, but I think part of the reason that they brought these guys in together is that they do have a plan. I think Ray Agnew, the GM, and it's funny. I'll show you this real fast here. Show you this real fast. I have him saved as I love the name he gave him. I'm just putting him in as PC principal. But bottom line, I think that Agnew and PC principal are on the same alliance. And what it is that we're going to start from the very beginning. That's why you give a guy a 6-year deal. And you also bring in a guy like John Dorsey, who took a 2-14 Kansas City Chiefs team and built them into a Super Bowl roster. So this is what I've done for all 8 divisions. These two I haven't did a lot of work yet because they are a new quarterback coach here. I know Atlanta. I don't know who Atlanta's offensive coordinator is. The AFC East, I have a little more notes. I'm going to have a page for all 32 teams because ultimately what I do, if you pay attention to this here, I have Buffalo 13 and a minus sign. And this means I expect the Bills to win less than 13 games next year. Miami right now, I have nothing because I think right now they're going to stay at 10. Losing Chan Gailey, losing their offensive line coach, losing their quarterbacks coach is a lot, but they're going to have lots of draft picks. Matt Patricia was designed. They gave him a real cute coaching title, so he's just going to help, and that's perfect for Matt Patricia, a guy who's more with the X's and O's more than he is with being in charge of an offense or a defense. So that's really going to help New England with a variety of things. And then the Jets, I think, to win more in 2 games. As you see here, Pittsburgh, I think, will lose more. I think that there will be less than 12 wins. Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cincinnati right now I just have as a push. Anyway, that's kind of an idea of what I have. I was going to try to do a little more, but bottom line, just a hectic week, man. So I'm just glad to be here doing my favorite thing in the whole world, and that's just talking football. I'm going to drink coffee, even though I'm already jacked up. And I want to hear what you guys have to say. I mean, ultimately, you guys are the ones that are involved. You guys are the ones that really make the show great. By the way, if you don't mind, give me a thumbs up. I do not watch this on YouTube. I may have 5,000 thumbs down. I don't know. So, yeah, man, give me a thumbs up. And let's get to this here, man. Let's. I am lost here. Where the hell am I? All right. Okay. Texans hired. Okay, good. We're going to talk about the Texans. This is important. Texans hired David Culley, who I believe is a good head coach, but I wanted the enemy, and hired Lovie Smith as defensive coordinator. I don't know much about him. I heard he created the Tampa 2 defense. Okay. He didn't create it, but he was very largely involved with Tony Dungy. He was Tony Dungy's defensive coordinator in Tampa Bay, so he really helped build that and develop that. And then when he took over in Chicago, led Chicago to a Super Bowl, they ran the Tampa 2 defense. And I'm drawing a blank on the player's name. I believe it's Tommy Harris. They had that defense from hell. Remember, they beat the Cardinals on Monday Night Football, and he just passed away. You can crown their ass. Dennis Green. Yeah, it was due to the famous Lovie Smith Tampa 2 defense. But when they lost, I believe it was Tommy Smith on the defensive line. That's when the defense went from being one of the greatest defenses of all time to a so-so defense. Because the number one thing about this defense is you need a great defensive line. So you have some pieces in play, but the rest of the defense, you have to take your defensive ends, you move them to your outside linebackers, you move them inside to defensive ends. J.J. Watt would go inside, or he may not even fit. You could try him outside, but it's a different type of defense. The linebackers are long and athletic. I don't know if they're fast enough to play in this defense, but yeah, I mean, he didn't create it, but he helped develop it. They're going to run a Tampa 2. I was on the flip side because Herm Edwards, who was big into Tampa 2, tried to bring a Tampa 2 here into Kansas City. When the reciprocal happened, when the Chiefs went from Tampa 2 to a 3-4, as a matter of fact, they went to Romeo Crennel's 3-4 defense. It was a really difficult transition. It took a couple years, and we didn't have a zero technique. With the difference is that you take your zero technique, all of a sudden becomes a 3 technique. And I did a video breaking down the Tampa 2 defense last year, so I might have to break that video out again. I may do a breakdown of the Tampa 2 because it's basically designed that everybody knows what you're going to do. You just do it faster and better. And it's ultimately the dumbest version that you could say is R4 beats your 5. Ross Blacklock's a guy that I was very high on. He fits in well. I don't know how J.J. Watt fits in. Do you push him outside? Do you move him inside? He could ultimately just really love this defense. I will say this, compared to Romeo Crennel's 3-4, it's like if you go, Romeo Crennel's 3-4 defense is maybe the most complex defense in the NFL. If that was like algebra, this would be learning to count to 10. It's light years easier. It's simplistic. And when you got a coach like Lovie Smith, who he was fired at the University of Illinois, but he never had any college experience. And winning at Illinois, that's a tough place to win, man. That's a tough place to win. So, and I thought he did a pretty good job there, but ultimately he wasn't a great recruiter. But he did. I thought he did a pretty good job. So as far as getting a defensive coordinator, it's a great hire. It's a great fit, but it's completely opposite of what Romeo Crennel wants to do. So it'll take some time. I know what it is bringing it. Yes, I forgot about Tom. They are also keeping Tim Kelly as offensive coordinator. That I didn't know. I'm glad you let me know about that. You were actually the one who told me about Lovie Smith. I was at work today. It was kind of a crazy day, crazy week actually. Alex brings up the Texans aren't going to trade Watson this season. He won't need to redo his contract, which the Texans would deny and can't, or in other words, wouldn't skip. Okay. Alex, I'm glad you touched base on this. Because if you've seen social media, you've seen all these trades. All right. You've seen all these trades. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen with DeShawn Watson. Let's just dive into this now, and I'll make sure I get to all these comments here. Okay. DeShawn Watson staying in Houston, folks. He's staying in Houston. All right. Let me. Okay. You're going to say, well, wait a minute. DeShawn Watson requested a trade. Let me just tell you. Okay. Most of the people here, I don't know everybody's age. I'm going to assume most of you are over 25. Most of you are over 25. How many of you have been 25 and pissed off and said or did something you regret, or said or did something you didn't really mean? Well, let me tell you something. You're Deshaun Watson. I want you to think about it. Okay. You in college, you beat Alabama for a national championship, something I didn't think could be done. You go to the NFL, you win a playoff game the year before in Houston, great playoff victory. You outdueled Josh Allen in the playoffs. You come back the next year, you have a great season, and you win 4 games. Now keep in mind, I don't know exactly what Deshaun Watson did in high school. I'm going to assume he was a pretty good player, didn't lose a lot. I know he didn't lose a lot in Clemson. And then this year he loses 12 games, and he's frustrated, and he's mad, and he's upset. Wouldn't you be? I've never met Deshaun Watson. But did he, you think maybe he probably is saying things he doesn't really mean? You remember when you were 25? Didn't you act out? Didn't you get pissed at something that maybe you shouldn't have got pissed about? But here's the thing, he's got every right to be pissed. I won a national championship in college. I went to the playoffs last year. I don't want to be 4-12. And if you're a Houston Texans fan, you want your quarterback to be pissed at 4-12. Is he going where? Oh, hell no. No. So if you want to talk about trade scenarios, great. I'll listen to you. This is never going to be a show where I'm right, you're wrong. But this is a show where I'm offering you my opinion. My opinion is Deshaun Watson is not going anywhere. You have a 25-year-old kid who just got a $180 million contract for 4 years. So if you do the math, that's $45 million. You're a 25-year-old kid. You're a 25-year-old kid who made $45 million. I mean, after taxes, it was probably like 15 or something. But, I mean, you're a multi-millionaire. You just got generational wealth handed to you this year. You're 25. You won a national championship in college. You won a playoff game last year. This year, you won 4 games. You are mad. Can he force a trade? He could. But if David Coley, who is a smart guy, by the way, he was with Kansas City and Andy Reid for several years. David Coley, you just talk to Deshaun Watson and say, listen, hey, man, I know you're mad. Let's work together and let's build a championship team, man. I got a good defensive coordinator, which you did. Forget about the front office. Forget about those guys. Look, man, you're not going to throw away 45, 50 million next year. We're not going to trade you. Let's just work together. He's going to go along with it. Deshaun Watson's going to go along with it. He's going to take a deep breath. He's going to realize, hey, this isn't all that bad. I got a coach who wants to win. I got a really good defensive coordinator. Yeah, I was mad because I didn't have involved. I wasn't involved with GM or blah, 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 whatever. You'll get over it. All right. Did he have a okay? Yes and no. Did he draft Mahomes? The answer is yes. Did he orchestrate the trade? The answer is yes. But classic Glenn Dorsey he was with the Green Bay Packers for a long time, and their philosophy was never trade up, always trade down, pick the best player in the draft no matter what. And it was funny because he went to one game that Patrick Mahomes played. It was in Ames, Iowa. They played Iowa State. It's I-35. It's about a 3-hour drive. So he goes up to Ames, Iowa. Maybe he flew. I don't know. Iowa State that year won 3 games. Well, this was one of them. He watched Mahomes throw 4 interceptions in the rain and a 42-10 defeat. The rumor mill was that Andy Reid wanted to trade up. John Dorsey did not. And Andy Reid won out. So that's the rumor mill, because when Andy Reid's contract got extended, it was public. Everybody knew about it. 30 minutes later, John Dorsey is no longer with the Kansas City Chiefs. So the rumor mill was that they clashed over Mahomes. Reid wanted him. Dorsey didn't. And let me ask you something. If you're a general manager, you go watch a quarterback play at Texas Tech, where every other quarterback out Texas Tech has done nothing in the NFL. You watch him play in the rain, which is it doesn't really rain in Lubbock. You watch him play in the rain. He throws 4 interceptions. And he loses to then I think they had 1 win, but Iowa State's not a good team. They went 3-9 that year, and you watch them get blown out by an Iowa State team. Are you going to say, hey, let's give up 2 number ones and a third? Probably not. Makes sense. So I'm seeing news that the 49ers offered 2 second, 2 thirds for Stafford already. I saw the same thing. It makes sense. I believe one of the second round picks is pretty low. Here's the drill, and I'll touch base on this now. This is the one and only thing the Lions have done wrong this offseason was make it public that Stafford's not going to be back because you kill his trade value. One thing I've been hearing a lot of is, well, Stephon Diggs got this. And then, people flashback and go, well, DeAndre Hopkins got this. And Carson Palmer's traded for this. And there's bottom line, whatever you could have got for Stafford, by being public saying that he's not coming back next year, you killed the trade value. You could have got number one. I think the only team that would give you a number one today right now for Stafford would be the Chicago Bears. And I think they would do that because they know that he would have a great game against Detroit, if nothing else. So you kill the value. 2 seconds and 2/3 is not equal a number one. It may be better, but I will say this, the 49ers have done some weird things, and they don't mind making trades and everything. But if you're going to make that type of trade, you have to have something in place for Garoppolo, which they don't. So I'm not really sure about that. But it's funny because I went on Luke G's show. I listened to it. I didn't go on. And they're talking about like 3 number ones. And I love Luke G because me and Luke G were on the same page. We both think that this was a big mistake. People are like, oh, yeah, we can get 3 number ones. It's like, are you high? What are you thinking? Because if you kept your mouth shut and you said, hey, look, Matt, here's the drill. Give me your top 3 teams, and we'll do what we can to get you to one of the 3 teams. Just shut up. But ultimately, we got to get what we can because we're going to start from scratch. That didn't happen. There was a big disconnect. They went public, and that was stupid because you killed your value for Stafford by going public. Okay, the same thing happened to Le'Veon Bell. What did the Steelers get for Le'Veon Bell? They didn't get anything. Teams are right now just waiting. Teams right now are just going to wait, and you could have got number one. More than likely, you won't. 2 2s and 2/3. That's a lot more than I think, and there's got to be something involved because they have to be getting picks back from Garoppolo for them to even offer this. It's either that or John Lynch doesn't really know what he's doing. He's made some very questionable decisions as general manager of the 49ers. So, PC principle. The Lions probably should accept that because they're not going to get better. And I'm way behind. That's a bad offensive coordinator hire for the Chargers. You know what? Joe Lombardi. I don't know. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. Mike thinks Watson's going to the Fins. I don't think so, but hey, this is never going to be a show. Everybody's got to agree with me. Watson isn't being traded at least this season. Texans have made that clear. Yes, yeah. Watson's not going anywhere. Chris Clegg in the house. Run it back, Kansas. I've known Chris since junior high school. He's excited about the Chiefs. I'm excited about the Chiefs. Next week's show, we will dive into intense detail over the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So. He might force himself out. Here's the drill. By forcing yourself out, you're giving up game checks. Okay. 40, let's just say, because he signed a 4-year, $180 million contract. Okay. So that's $45 million a year, and you get paid on game day. You get paid. So you take $45 million and divide it by 16. It's okay. It's an even 3. No, I'm sorry. It's 2.75. So every game you get 2.7. Now keep in mind there's other things that are going on. Basically, a game check, 2.5 million, maybe less. It's probably 2.25. You probably get credit for training camp, OTA, stuff like that. But you're not turning down 2.25 million a week. For those of you who don't know, NFL players get paid per game. And it's kind of weird because you get those 16 checks and then you got to wait 8-9 months. Now, a lot of players get, like if you show up to OTAs, you get, $50,000. You show up for mini camp, you get, $1 million or something like that. But the majority of your contract is 16 game checks. So let's just say 2 million. Let's just say bare bones. You're 2 million a game. He's not going to turn it down. He's not going to do it. He's not going to say, no, I'm giving up 2 million. He's not going to do it. He's not going to just sit out and say, nah. He's not going to do it. He's got no trade clause in his contract. So no, it's not what's going to happen. What is up with Tua that Miami wants to look for another QB? It's funny because you remember the same thing I do, is that back in October of 2019, you heard Dolphins tank for Tua, and the front office was in love with Tua back in October. Well, here's the deal. It's no, there's no mini camp. There's no OTAs. So with minicamp and OTAs, plus with the experience he already has, he's going to get better. I don't think there's really an issue with Tua. I think Tua will be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, and I think he'll be just fine. It's a little. I think it's a little unusual that they haven't endorsed him overly public, but. Remember all that tank for Tua stuff started in October. So we had to hear that tank for Tua. And then the Dolphins started winning games and people are like, oh no, you may lose Tua. And then you go ahead, you draft Tua. And it was a questionable pick. Remember, he was injured in college. So don't worry about it. I think Tua will be in Miami and I think he'll be just fine. If the Texans won't redo his contract, and with how much backlash that would happen, it's sitting out is almost. You're right, exactly. He's not going to miss a game check. You get thumbs down from haters that are just. Do I have a thumbs down, man? Oh no, that's not good. But hey, man, listen, you hate, but I will say this, man. If you are watching, please give me a thumbs up. Drop a comment below. It means a lot to me. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm, and ultimately, I like getting as many people as I can into the show. It's one of my favorite things. So, Mike says Tua looks questionable. He got benched twice and would have been 3 times, but Fitz had COVID. That does bother me, but I have to think to myself that with OTAs and a mini camp and a full off season, that ultimately, now here's the thing, he should have not played at all this year, and Miami really mismanaged that. And I think that maybe their expectations for Tua was a little too high because ultimately it looked like the plan was, hey, you're going to sit on the bench for 6 weeks, we're going to have a bye, then you're going to start the next 10. And he didn't play up to snuff. I personally feel like he should have sat the whole season, but he didn't. But I got to think that with OTAs and a mini camp and him going into a full off season, that he'll do nothing but excel. And now watching him at Alabama, his freshman year, he came off the bench, had that, come from behind win in, I believe it was SEC championship game. And then, or was it national championship? And then each year at Alabama, he got better and better. So my thinking is that he'll be better. He shouldn't. Rookie quarterbacks really should not look good. The problem is you got Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow who looked really good, and Tua didn't. But I have to think with an OTA and a mini camp, and you're also dealing with a very young team. They had 2 rookies on that offensive line. Your running backs, nothing special. You have a good tight end, but your receivers, you kept on having injuries in the receiver core. So I think that what you need is just a full off season. And if he doesn't look good this year, then you have some problems. But I think you have to give him at least this year and a full off season in minicamp. Mike, would you call Tua a bust or need different coaching? I'd love to. Hey, Mike, what do you think, man? I'd love to hear it. I was going to ask about that. Cornell would be a great advisor, but his defense is light years different than what Lovie Smith's trying to do. But getting the two guys together, you will not find two more knowledgeable defensive coordinators in the National Football than these two. So it's a good fit. They got to figure a way to turn around that defense. I'm not worried about the offense. I need to fix that defense. So Mike says, I wouldn't call him a bust, Jay. He just doesn't look great. I don't think it's bad coaching. I think I agree. I don't think it's bad coaching either. But if I hold on here, they did make some changes. Chan Gailey, the offensive coordinator, is gone. The offensive line coach and the quarterback coach is gone. So they're going to bring in all sorts of new offensive coaches to help with Tua. So I think that what they're going to do is they're going to build around Tua. Now, if you do trade them, then they already know that they're not happy with Tua. But bottom line, you don't get a new quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator, and they have an offensive line coach too, who's also moving on. So you're going to have some different faces in there. My thought process is that they're bringing in guys to help Tua. But, hey, look, they may just say, hey, look, this guy, hey, he's not who we thought he was. He's too injury prone. He's too skittish, whatever you think. But Gailey is an old school offensive coordinator. This guy's been in the NFL for a very long time, but he's a good offensive line, but he's an old school type of coach. So maybe they're trying something different. I don't know who the Dolphins offensive coordinator is. So if somebody wants to let me know, I'd really appreciate it. But that's also a big thing, is that, hey, let's bring in people to fix Tua. But you don't draft somebody 5th overall and have a crazy offseason with everything that's going on and then just say, nah, let's move on. That I think that would be a major mistake from the Miami Dolphins. I guess Houston was the least attractive. I thought it was. Head coaching position, Detroit. I say the Lions hold out for a first-round pick, plus Stafford can deliver a Super Bowl cheaper, and you won't mortgage your fortune on one player. Okay, great point. The problem is you made it public that he's not coming back, and that's why you probably won't get a first-rounder for him. If you didn't say anything and let everything go underneath the bridge, you probably could get a first-rounder. But teams – there's really here's the problem. You may be able to get Aaron Rodgers. You may be able to get Carson Wentz. You may be able to get Jameis Winston. There's 4 quarterbacks that have a first round grade, 5 if you want to count Mac Jones. Stafford's going to be 33. He missed last season, or 2 seasons ago, he missed almost the whole season. This year he missed a couple games. He's not completely healthy, and he's 33, and he's never won a playoff game, and he's already under contract to make a large amount of money. It would be great if there's a bidding war on Stafford, but the truth of the matter is, if I'm an NFL team, Stafford's kind of my last choice. And I love Matthew Stafford, but he's not the guy I want. I'd want to go with the young guy that's a fraction of the cost that's healthy. Can you guarantee Stafford's health? You can't. He's 33. So, how many years does he have? A back injury? He had a broken back. And he didn't finish this season. So, but here's the thing. He's not going to be with Detroit. So he's easily my last option. So the problem is that if you would have kept your mouth shut and you had said, hey, Stafford's our starter going in week 1, but all positions are available, you give some line out like that, then yeah, you get a first rounder. Because you're public, you're probably going, well, what can I get Aaron Rodgers for? Is DeShawn Watson really available? Can I get up in the top 7, 9, 10, 12? I think 12s were San Francisco picks, and I'm thinking if you want one of those 4 quarterbacks, you got to get in before San Francisco. So you're probably looking at top 11 picks. And more than likely, you're saying, hey, can I get into that? Jimmy Garoppolo, is he available? What's his status? Now, keep in mind, I take Stafford over Garoppolo any day. Jared Goff, what's his availability? If you want to say Stafford's better in golf, sure, I'd hear that. But, I mean, ultimately, you got a guy. Here, the difference is between Garoppolo, Goff, and Stafford is Garoppolo's starting quarterback for San Francisco. They haven't made public that they want to get rid of him. You're hearing all these weird rumors. Same thing with Goff. Not true with Stafford. You know Stafford's not going to be back. So he's your last option because you know you can get him the cheapest. Because Detroit is not wanting him to come back. You destroyed the trade value. So make teams want that's what you should have done, but you didn't do that. You were public and saying, "No, he's not coming back." So you killed the value for him. Yeah, exactly. Mike's on board with me. Kind of weird to me and you agree. But yeah. By the way, did you hear about the Lions? No, I did not. I did not hear about the Lions hiring Mark Brunell. I love Mark Brunell. Mark Brunell was, if you're not familiar with Mark Brunell, I'll never forget 1996. They snuck into the playoffs. They were 4-7, won their last 5, and they played this dominating, really good Denver Broncos team. They were 13-3, looked like a juggernaut, looked like they were going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, they just looked awesome. They were a great team. And they went up to Mile High. They won first round in the playoffs, and I forget who they I think, okay, if I remember right, let me see, I got my history. 96 Jacksonville Jaguars with Brunell. They win their last 5 games of the season to sneak into the 6th seed in the playoffs. They go to Buffalo. Remember, Buffalo won those 4 Super Bowls. They won like 12 straight playoff games in Buffalo. All of a sudden, this Florida team comes up that snuck into the playoff, no chance to win. They beat Buffalo. No way they go to Mile High, win. And Mark Brunell had one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my entire life, and they upset Denver. Denver was like, I think, a 16, 17-point favorite. Now, the 97 Denver Broncos did win the Super Bowl. They upset Green Bay that year. But then they went into New England and lost to Bill Parcells. But, oh, God, I loved Mark Brunell. That game against Denver was one of the best playoff games I've ever seen a quarterback play. It was one of the best playoff performances of all time. Ever since then, I've always loved Mark Brunell. Very underrated quarterback. I was told he's one of the smartest guys you'll ever talk to. And then late in his career, he kind of bounced around as a backup quarterback. But that I did not know that. Great hire. And it's definite. He is. That's thank you for letting me know, because that's a smart move. I'd say Alex, it would be, but you're not giving a first round pick to a team who's already said, hey, we don't want you. You don't do that. We are definitely getting a first for Stafford, maybe more. I completely disagree because of the way the Lions handled the situation. But we'll see. We'll see. He plays really well. There's no debate. The debate is he healthy? And you know he's not your long-term solution, because he'll be 33. And just 2 years ago, he missed almost a whole season. He didn't finish last year. So he's a guy who's only going to be around for a short period of time. And because he's only going to be around for a short period of time, and you can't count on his health, and Detroit doesn't want him, those are factors that are coming in play. He's saying we are definitely getting more. I completely disagree. Yeah, I saw this too, James, and this is a lot more. Oh crap. Okay. This is a lot more than I thought anybody would trade for him, but they're only doing this. Excuse me, man. I am so sorry, man. Let me slam some coffee here. They only do this if they have trades already set up for Garoppolo. They have to have a trade set up for Garoppolo. You can't you can't trade all these picks for Stafford and then have him and Garoppolo together. You can't do it. It kills your cap. Plus, you have so many holes on that team. So you already got something in play. You're not going to trade for Stafford and then go, well, if somebody wants Garoppolo, you're just not going to do it. We have a little bickering here between you guys. So this is awesome. As long as we're all respectful, you're always allowed to disagree. The only person you can call a dumbass here is me, and you're welcome to. You can also drop it in the comments below. Don't forget, give me a thumbs up. A little disagreement. I disagree. We still have the leverage. We have the quarterback. You don't. Let's make a deal. Well, that's the thing, though, is that you have quarterbacks that are on the market. All right. Hey, you could trade for Jared Goff. You could trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. You can trade. I don't think you can, but there's all sorts of talk and rumors everywhere you go that you can trade for DeShawn Watson. All right. You could trade for Aaron Rodgers. You could trade for Carson Wentz. There's 4 quarterbacks in this draft that almost everybody thinks are top 10 picks. Stafford's the last guy on the list. And Detroit's been public saying we're going to go in a different direction. So that's kind of what the problem is that when you go public and you say, hey, look, we're gonna just part ways, you kill his value. You completely kill the value. When you announce that, hey, we're not going to negotiate. That's what happened with Le'Veon Bell, and Steelers got nothing. They got nothing. Seriously, he may end up leaving for a third. I know you're going to completely disagree, but he's injury prone. He's 33. He turns 33 in February. Injury prone, he's 33, and Detroit doesn't want him. And they went public with that, which was a major mistake. Jerry will throw the kitchens. I forgot. You got Dak Prescott as well. That's a different situation completely. So I think Stafford is worth a first and 2/3. He still plays well for his age. He can work with weapons are there. He usually has 1 or 2 weapons that always hurts him. Now, Alex, you got a good point, but let's take a look at what you got. In Detroit, you got Pro Bowl tight end. You got Galladay. Marvin Lewis is pretty good. The issue isn't let me break this down. The issue isn't is he a good quarterback? The issue is Detroit doesn't want him. It's business 101. Hey, I'm trying to sell you something that I don't really want. I'm not going to try to charge you an arm and a leg. It's like I used to sell cars. If I got a Ferrari that I'm like, oh, this is my pride and joy. You got to offer a lot for it. But on the other hand, I got this Ford Escort that I can care less about. I'm trying to get rid of that. I'm like, hey, look, I'll knock off 100, 1,000, 2,000, just take it off my hands. And that's the way Detroit handled this. So Stafford isn't top 10 and getting worse. He is getting worse. If you want to say he's top 10, I don't know. He probably isn't. Matt Ryan, that's another name. Who'd you rather have? Matt Ryan? He could be on the trade block. That's another name. Let me ask you this. Who would you want right now, Matt Ryan or Matthew Stafford? That's a good debate. He's not top 10, but he still plays great. I think you're underselling him, Mike. I'm underselling him. I think you're way overrated. And that's a great thing about this show is that there's always going to be a debate. Who do you think the Lions will be looking at in tomorrow's Senior Bowl? Hopefully everybody. And I'm going to try to watch that. I'm going to try to watch it if I can. I've been paying attention to some of the practices, some of the things I heard. The Florida wide receiver looks awesome. But more than likely, right now today, Okay, I'm going to do a lot of draft videos, but right now, today, the way I have the draft going, if they stay, they're at 7, if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're at 7 right now. Today, I have them taking Trey Lance, the quarterback out of North Dakota State, and I think he'll be available at 7. I think he'll be available at 7. Could they take somebody else except for Trevor Lawrence, not Ryan Tannehill? But that's somebody that I think at 7, that would probably be the guy. I think that would be the guy, and I think that would work. I think out of all the quarterbacks, he would be able to walk in and start from day one. But you have to dumb down that offense, which I think Anthony Lynn would do. So, oh man, that's a good thing. Armani Rogers has got to be high on the list. I think he will. There's a lot of players. I forgot his name. The wide receiver from Florida is making people look ridiculous out there, and he probably vaulted himself into early first round. So, did you see Campbell's press conference? And we hired Dom Capers. I didn't know you guys hired Dom Capers. Huh. Today, when they had a press conference for Coley, McNair wasn't present, being the first owner not to attend a head coach press conference, and our press is angry that season ticket holder got the last. Oh, okay. I'm going to let you finish. Yeah, got the last question. I truly not like the press. I feel like they're too entitled to question. They literally got angry that 5 press members didn't get chosen over a fan. I want more press conferences. You told me about this, and I want more press conferences with only fans. It should be like that. There's some members of the press that are more concerned with likes, comments, how much publicity they get, being a shock jock, if you will, rather than asking legitimate questions. I didn't know that McNair wasn't there, which is unusual. I didn't really realize Coley was even a candidate, but I do remember him in Kansas City. And there was some, by the way, David Coley, I think, was passing game coordinator in 2014, where the Chiefs didn't throw a single pass to a wide receiver. That's actually a credit to Coley rather than a negative towards rather than a negative. People are trying to make it just the opposite. No, it's positive. And I'd go on a big rant about that 2014 season. That was a very unusual season in Kansas City. But yeah, he was a passing game coordinator and did a lot of good things with Kansas City. So we had Jamal Charles that year, who I think had 9 receiving touchdowns. It was also Travis Kelce's first year. We drafted him in 2013 towards ACL training camp, came back in 2014, and we were like, hey, this guy could be pretty good. I had no idea he was going to be that good, but wouldn't it be wild if Stafford ended up signing with the Bears and Rodgers signing with the – see, that could happen. I think Stafford going to the Bears is very likely. Rodgers going to the Lions, I would love. I don't think it'll happen, but I would love it. I would, James, I would wish nothing else better. The only problem is I think Rodgers wants to go somewhere where he can win now, and Detroit's not going to win now. That's the only negative. So, Mike here, no, whoops, I'm very behind on comments here. No one with real Super Bowl aspirations wants Stafford. I don't know about that. If San Francisco's serious and they have good trade compensation for Garoppolo, they're aspiring. I don't think San Francisco with Stafford would be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Stafford going to Dallas, maybe. Stafford in Chicago, with some free agency pickups, could be. Stafford in Chicago, but they need some help. So I think it'd been difficult to keep. Okay. You didn't have to keep it a secret. You didn't have to announce it. That's the problem, is that as soon as you announced it, every NFL team knows, hey, Stafford's not going to be there. We can get Stafford later. Let's look at options A, B, and C, and D because these guys are available, but we always know Stafford's going to be available. So that making that announcement was bad, and that was a rookie GM mistake. I wouldn't say Stafford would lead you to a Super Bowl, but I think he makes you competitive with some good weapons. I thought the trade value would have come from a bidding war. You should have kept it quiet within NFL circles, not done a press conference and made a big deal. You should have just said, here's what you should have done. You should have said, hey, look, we're building a team. We're going to build a winner. We're going to do everything we can to get to the playoffs this year. And every position is going to be a fight. We're going to go into a training camp, and the best 53 are going to be here, and the best player for each position is going to be here. And that includes every single position, and you give out that kind of bullshit. And then you make phone calls and be like, hey, you know what? I mean, hey, what would you get for Stafford? A 1 and a 3? And then, I'd give you like a 1 and then like, a 5 or maybe a second and a third or something. But so that's how you should have handled it. This is a rookie GM mistake in doing this. And what they basically just said is they put a for sale sign on something because they put a for sale sign on something they don't want. They basically garage saled Matthew Stafford. What do you do at a garage sale? Well, you sell the junk you don't want. You don't take 10 grand and go to a garage sale. No, you take $50. And that's what NFL teams are going to do. And we stole Chicago's linebackers coach, and we got Deuce Staley. I forgot about Deuce Staley. Oh, I love Deuce Staley. One of my favorite players. And you did get Chicago's linebacker. Chicago's missing a bunch of I'm sorry, man. I got cramp in my foot. My foot's doing all sorts of weird stuff here. Okay. Shit. I'm at the pause. Okay. No, never mind. Went away. The problems of being old. But Chicago lost their defensive coordinator, and they also lost their linebackers coach, and I don't have who they replaced them with yet. Alex is giving out his OnlyFans account, so Alex has an OnlyFans. This is awesome. Alex, I didn't know, man. I didn't know you had an OnlyFans. So. Alex, man, I love you on Twitter. I don't know if I would do your OnlyFans though, but let me know how that works, man. Maybe I've been debating on getting on TikTok, but I just found, okay, I shouldn't admit this. I just found out TikTok was more than girls dancing. I thought it was a girls dance video thing. That's how bad I am. That's how bad. I just found out you could do other things than being a dancing girl. I didn't know that. I thought you had to be a teenage dancing girl to do TikTok. I didn't know that. I thought about it. I just, every time I see a TikTok, it's some girl dancing. It's like, so. Not true. We didn't want him. We didn't want him here. And because he didn't want to go through a rebuild. Not true. We didn't want him. When you announce that you don't want somebody, you lower his value. It's obvious you're going through a rebuild because you signed him to a 6-year deal. If you thought you were competitive, you signed him to a 3 or 4-year deal. But because you signed him to a 6-year deal, you're going to blow up the team. So obviously that you want to get rid of your best player, your most attractive player, because you want draft picks. Is that Stafford? It may be. It could be. Oh God, I can't believe I forgot his name. Yeah, I had the tight end who went number 7 overall. I mean, it could be a variety of different things. So, Dwayne Eskrew, wide receiver from Western Michigan, is a player to watch. I did see that clip. I did see some clips on that. So, Stafford contract is the most attractive. No, I didn't. I didn't. I apologize. It's on my list of things to do. This week was just nuts, and I apologize. But yeah. I'm going to. There's a lot of things I got on my to-do list. I apologize. This week was a crazy week for me, so bear with me. Did you watch the press conference? Eagles' new head coach. I didn't understand him. Probably isn't good in front of media, though. Don't blame him. No, I didn't watch that either. Taking the Colts offensive coordinator, and I know Matt Eberflus, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's the Colts defensive coordinator. The problem is with Eberflus was getting talk, but I didn't know the coordinator was even a head coaching candidate. The whole thing in Philly, I think it's just a shit show. I mean, you don't know what's going on with the quarterback situation. Do you need to draft one? Do you need to trade? It's just it's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. So I'm not really sure what's going on there in Philly, but no, I didn't watch it. I've been meaning to. There's a lot of things I need to get caught up on. Yeah, this is a deep wide receiver class. This is not a great draft, but it's a really good draft. There's some talent at wide receiver. There's some decent talent at edge rusher. There's some decent offensive linemen. There's 4 really good quarterbacks, and Mac Jones will probably go in the first round, but I don't think he should. Kyle Trask is a guy that I can't wait to watch Florida's pro day. Florida's pro day, because they could have 3 or 4 players go in the first round. So that's something I got to watch here. There's the wide receiver from Florida looked crazy, and they had this clip where he just embarrassed his defensive back, and the ball was perfect, hit him right in the hands, and he dropped it. And it's just like, you gotta be kidding me. But he's going to go in the first round too, or he's a first round candidate. Pro days are big this year. Why not Indy? Stafford definitely could go to Indy. There's several teams that he's interested in. I think the only team that would give him a first would be Chicago, because it's a divisional rival and they really need a quarterback. Yeah, I know Indianapolis does also, but I'm not really sure that they would give a first rounder for Stafford. Keep in mind, next week when I do the show, if you're right and you get a first and a third or 2 number ones or whatever you think that Stafford's worth, hey man, I'll just, hey man, I'm wrong. I say I'm wrong. And that's just how it is. But I don't think that's what you're going to do it. Alex is going to advertise his OnlyFans here. It's $12.99 base. I think it's $39.99 for the X-rated version of Alex. He wears a cowboy thong. So I'm helping you here, Alex. $39.99. You see Alex in a cowboy thong. So. Yes. Take a look at the Saints. Take a look at the Saints, and that's kind of what you're going to see in Detroit. And you're going to go through some growing pains. But take a look at what the Saints are doing, and that's what you're going to get out of the Detroit Lions going forward. So Alex does have a high price on his OnlyFans. Lord, it's just dog videos. I love. All dogs love me. It's science. I had a 3-legged rat terrier named Big Chunk. He thought he was 110 pounds. He had no idea he was 15. He was an awesome dog. He used to only bark. He only barked at dogs that weighed over 100 pounds. If you're like a 40, 50 pound dog, he'd blow you off. It was weird, but yeah. I need to watch some movies, man. You need to put some dog videos up on your Twitter, man. I love dog videos. I had to put my dog down. I cried like a little girl. I'm not even going to lie. His ashes are right here, as a matter of fact. I loved my dog. My dog was awesome. He was a complete badass. It was funny because he loved everybody. So every time like a cute girl, he'd jump up on her, and I'd be like, oh, wow, you're special. Great pickup line. Hopefully you've done the same thing too. So. I think Fields may fall and Parson is unattractive now. Fields is falling because nobody watched him play this year, and the game he did play, he didn't look great. But if you listen to Behind the Sticks is something that I listen to religiously, and I'm going to listen to a lot with the drafting process. But I heard him talk to Daniel Jeremiah And the dude is super smart. I mean, the kid's, I think he's only 20, and he sounds like he's been in the NFL for 10 years. I mean, the dude sounds like he's been in the NFL for 10 years, and he's used to doing NFL type adjustments at North Dakota State, which kind of puts him ahead of the curve. I think that once you bring in people to his pro day and you get him in front of the whiteboard and you get to hear him talk, I think you're going to be very, very impressed. And I think that what's going to happen is a few weeks before the draft, his stock's going to skyrocket. And I think it'll skyrocket high enough that you'll hear somebody on the national level say he could go as high as 2. You're going to see it. The value now is low. I think it'll skyrocket, but I do think he goes out of quarterbacks. When I'm going to do draft videos, by the way, I'm going to start off at 2. I'm just going to start off with the Jets. I'm not going to do anything with Jacksonville. We all know who Jacksonville's going to take, but I'm going to start off at number 2. But right now, I think I would have Fields going to Detroit at 7. So, yeah. Excuse me. I've seen some videos of Lovey as the head coach. Yeah. That comeback against the Cardinals was awesome. That comeback against the Cardinals. That was a Lovey Smith defense galore. And that defense had Tommy Harris on the defensive line. He was actually the best player on that defense. You can argue. No, actually, he wasn't. Urlacher was the best player. He won defensive MVP that year. But Tommy Harris was a monster. And late in the season, he got hurt. And that I really wonder if they had a healthy Tommy Harris, if they could have beaten the Colts. And you'll never know. Rex Grossman, one of my favorite quarterbacks coming out of Florida, just terrible NFL quarterback. So. But I really think that, and I think that what you're going to see in the next couple of weeks is that DeShawn Watson saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm angry. I was mad. I was upset, and I'm on board now." And it'll happen. Give it some time, but yeah, it's going to happen. And yeah, they'll connect. They'll connect because these are veteran coaches that I think can really bring something good to Houston. But I'm kind of wondering what they're going to do on the defensive side of the ball. But this will get repaired. So now I said thong, Alex. I said Cowboys thong because you're charging $39.99 for that premier content. So you do a little R-rated stuff. But yes, But I'm here to help you, Alex. I'm here to advertise your OnlyFans. I shoot a link. I on Facebook, I just add people. If you're a Chiefs fan, I add people, and I get people that add me, and then every now and then I'll get this cute girl, and I'll be like, "Oh, this is awesome! It's an OnlyFans girl." And then I always report them. It drives me nuts. I'm not crazy about hiring. I didn't know, but Dom Capers is an excellent coach. And as an assistant, I think he'll help out quite a bit. He was really big in almost creating the zone blitz defense, which is a kind of creating confusing scheme. And here's the deal. You get a guy with a ton of experience who's helping out Aaron Glenn, who's a first-year defensive coordinator. So it's going to be a good thing. One Pride 40 asks a great question. How many years before Detroit becomes good? Okay. There's a lot of factors involved. But I'm going to say 2. And when I say good, I'm talking about 500 teams, 7 to 9 wins. I think 2021 will be a struggle. And I think 2021, you will either get a wild card or you'll be in a running for one, but give you 2 years. And I'll tell you why. Dorsey is, you guys are going to, I can guarantee you will never see as much retooling of a roster than you'll see with John Dorsey. You will see all sorts of weirdness. You will see all sorts of movement. And the reason why I say this, One Pride 40, is I know that you're a big sports fan, and what you're going to see almost on a daily basis is you're going to see you're going to see a lot of guys on the lower third quarter of the roster. You're going to see that go through a wild motion. You're going to see a ton of guys come in. You're going to see a ton of guys as backups get rotated in and out. You're going to see a lot of it. You're going to see a lot of it. But one thing about Dorsey is that they don't trade up, they trade down. But I remember in Kansas City, the roster turnover was great. You will see a lot of movement, and I know you're a big sports fan, so you're going to pay attention to the bottom third of the roster is going to be redone very fast, very quickly. They add players from other teams like crazy. You're going to see it. You're going to see it. So, do you have any idea who the Texans would go for in the third round? I was thinking linebacker, but I don't know how much about the draft since I've only. That's going to be a good thing. It's a great question, to tell you the truth. The answer is I don't really know. I'll give you the 101 answer, and that they'll take the best player available. And I think they'll take the best player available with whoever it is. I don't think it matters. I think if it's the exception may be quarterback, but if it's a wide receiver, they'll take a wide receiver. If it's a running back, they'll take a running back. Offensive lineman, they'll take an offensive lineman. I think that usually what happens, because you're picking very early in the third round, there's going to be a few players that have a second round grade, and they'll probably take the best one available. And that's a good thing about when you pick high in any round, is that you usually get a player who will flip. If you pick early in a fourth round, there'll be a second or third round player that you may be able to get. So I really do think that you'll get somebody, but I think it'll just be whoever's available. There could, in theory, be a player that they have a first round grade on who just falls all the way through. The player out of Penn State, for example, Michael Parsons. There was I don't want to get into too much detail, but basically there's a rumor that half the teams in the NFL just took him off the board. Well, this could be a guy that falls all the way in the third round, and the Texans say, "Hey, look, we got DeShawn Watson, we got J.J. Watt. Let's bring this guy in." Could be something like that. But I will do a draft video on the Texans, and I will make a prediction. But that I'll do 1 through 32. So, speaking of which, I will do a draft video either 1 or 2 weeks after the Super Bowl. I'm gonna start doing the draft early. I'm gonna start doing the draft early without any combine. So, I think Leroy Glover will be. I didn't know that either, and that would be a great pickup. Everything the Lions have done, except for the announcement of Stafford, has been first rate, fantastic. Also, Lovie Smith supposedly retired the year before. I believe he came back to be our DC for us. If I remember right, he was actually fired from the University of Illinois. He was just fired. He was I thought he did a good job, but he was not recruiting very well. And that's really what college football is. It's really more of a sales job than it is coaching the X's and O's. You just got to get the best players available. And he didn't get it up to snuff, but him going back into the NFL is an A+ thing. And if Lovie Smith wants to be an NFL head coach again, he actually could get another shot depending on how well he does. But it'll take some roster turnover, because that 3-4 and the Tampa 2 is night and day difference. Normally what you do if you're doing the flip-flop is what you do is you take your ends, you move them inside the tackles, you take your outside linebackers, you move them inside. You either take a safety. Now, if you're a college team doing this, you would take your safeties, move them to linebackers. You probably can't do that, but the two linebackers that you got are long and fast, but they're bigger guys. I don't know if they have the speed and the skill set, so you may have to trade them or move them. It'll be very interesting. More than likely, you'll have like an OTA and mini camp, and you'll start putting them into place. J.J. Watt's the guy I want to pay attention to. Are you going to use him as an end, or are you going to kick him inside the tackle? He may not want to play defensive tackle. Something to think about. Even more. Yes, I know you will never be caught in a Cowboys. You'll never be caught in a Cowboys. I'm Music City guy just joined. Music City guy Alex has an OnlyFans. He was hoping you would sign up for. It's $12.99, but the express package, the extra special package, is $39.99. Yes, 2. John Dorsey will rip through this roster very quickly. I really think that you have a team that is going to get on board very, very fast. I really do. I think you guys in 2023 will or 2022. Yeah, this year, and then I'm not saying you're going to go to the playoffs, but you'll be a 500 team next year. Not this year. This year is going to be bad. Next year, you'll be a 500 team. You expect us to sign Marcus Williams? I mean, right now, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of moves that have to happen. Stafford, when he gets traded, what are you going to do at the quarterback position? Who you're going to keep? You're going to make a lot of moves, man. I'm telling you, right? John Dorsey was bringing in people almost every single day. The roster will be turned over quite a bit. Music City guy, man, it's been a great Friday. It's a great show. I'm glad you're here, brother. I'm glad you're here, man. How are you feeling? Because I think Marcus White. One thing about Dorsey is that he will find guys under rocks. I mean, we found, it was crazy. We found guys that were undrafted free agents ended up starting, and some of them ended up being really good players. We had a guy, Ron Parker. Nobody knew where he came from. He was a corner. Then we moved him to safety, and he had some really good years at safety. He signed with Atlanta for like a 4-year, $30 million deal or something crazy. But John Dorsey found guys out of nowhere. So you're going to, trust me, if you follow football the way I think you do, you're going to be like, who the hell are these guys? He's going to bring in like 2 or 3 players almost every single day. It's going to be nuts. Just I'm warning you right now, you're going to see a lot of roster turnover. Pep Hamilton, wow. I didn't know you guys got Pep Hamilton, because I thought that Pep Hamilton was looking at an offensive coordinator position. So that's a great hire. Pep Hamilton is an A+ hire. I didn't know that. That's the whole reason I show you guys educate me. And Mike Devlin will not return as our offensive line coach, so Coley will hire a new one. And the good thing is that with Coley and with Lovie Smith is that this is a coaching staff that's going to be able to recruit some pretty good guys because they have a lot of veterans. I actually thought that Pep Hamilton was looking at taking an offensive coordinator position. One Pride 40 doesn't like the move. I do, because this is a guy who's been in coaching circles, and you don't forget a name like Pep, but there was some talk about him being an offensive coordinator. So I do think it's a good move. I expect us to draft one. Secondary or quarterback or let me see here. Well, I mean, I'm telling you right now, Dorsey was the guy who orchestrated the OBJ trade, which at the time everybody thought Cleveland just hit a home run, but in hindsight, he actually lost that trade. They ended up getting rid of Jabril Peppers, a guy who played fantastic last year for the Giants, and that was kind of a throwaway. But John Dorsey is not afraid to move players around. He's not afraid to move players around. He's also not afraid to give up picks. Because of this year and without the combine, certain teams are going to want to get rid of draft picks, and then certain teams are going to want to add draft picks. And when you have a guy who's as good as reading talent like John Dorsey, it would not surprise me if the Lions just end up with a ton of draft picks. You're in for a wild ride, man. You're in for a wild ride as a Lions fan. Your roster is going to go over a major turnover. I'm warning you now. Peps is not a good hire. Alex says he'll do good. No, he wasn't good at Michigan, but his NFL career has been very solid. Some guys aren't as good at college as they are in the NFL, and I think Pep Hamilton's one of them. I was hoping the Titans got Pep Hamilton, but they decided not even bother looking outside the building. Yeah, that was another thing. I didn't talk about it, but Dean Pease retired, and then now he's back with your offensive coordinator in Atlanta. I thought that was a great move. I shared earlier kind of what I'm looking at early on and how I break teams down. Here's the deal. For every NFL team, I do a plus minus on how many wins they did. Like, for example, the Seattle Seahawks. 2 years ago, I think they won 10 games, but the over-under was 9.5, and I had a plus. I thought that they would win more than 10. So I'm looking at that, and I'm like, well, I'm going to bet on the Seattle Seahawks. Now, with Houston, I'm thinking to myself, they were about at a push. And they win 2 years ago. I think Houston won 10. Well, the over-under was 7.5. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bet on Houston. Right now with Tennessee, I got them as a push. So, yeah, no, he did not do well at Michigan. Keep in mind, he coached with John Harbaugh at Stanford. And so they had a relationship together, but I think it was one of those things that was just too many cooks in the kitchen. In the NFL, he's done a good job. He was a candidate for offensive coordinator. So, yeah. It's looking like Coley is going to allow Kelly to call our offense and Lovey to call a defense, but he said he would overview. That's what you want to hear. I didn't know about Lovie Smith till you told me earlier today. That's an A+ move with keeping Kelly and allowing him to run the offense or keeping some continuity. Just be patient. And then with the next couple of weeks, DeShawn Watson, he'll stay in Houston, and you'll have a lot to be excited about. Me and you will be on the show a couple weeks from now, maybe a month from now. Hopefully you're still on board. Hopefully I'm still making these videos, and we'll be able to say, hey man, we told everybody. That's why you follow me, and that's why you join the show, is because you hear a guy who puts his money where his mouth is, who actually knows what he's talking about, and you get that type of show. Where's he going? Deshaun Watson's not going anywhere. You heard it here. I expect this. Yeah, I do too. The only question I have is, now remember the Rams, they gave up, I want to say it was like 3 number one. The Rams don't mind trading picks. All right, the Rams don't mind trading picks. They gave up a lot to move up the draft Jared Goff, but Dorsey's always been a guy to trade down. I think at 7 you can get Lance. I really believe that. I think at 7 you could get Lance, but there's going to be some teams that want to trade down. Number 3 is where the trading is going to start with Miami, because Miami's going to get rid of that 3rd pick. Miami's going to get rid of the 3rd pick. They're not going to go with a quarterback. They're going to do something with that. Or they're not, I'm sorry. Miami's not going to draft a quarterback. I think they're going to move out of the 3 spot. There's going to be a team that's going to want to take a quarterback who moves up to 3. If that doesn't happen, you have Carolina at 4. More than likely, they will draft a quarterback. Even though Bridgewater's on contract for another 2 years, this is the year that you go ahead and you draft a quarterback. They used their whole draft last year on defense. So more than likely what you want to do is, because the Jets and the Jaguars are probably going to take quarterbacks at 1 and 2. So more than likely you want to trade up to 3 or 4. Now, if you go ahead and you do that, then more than likely the next quarterback in line, which will probably be Lance, he should be available at 7. Does San Francisco want to trade up from 12? Is there another team that's interested? Do the Lions want to go in free agency? One of the things about John Dorsey, they were able to get Alex Smith from God, where was it, with San Francisco? And they signed him through free agency. So you could go after a free agent quarterback. And there's some good free agent quarterbacks. I mean, let me ask you something, just off the cuff. Just when if you went 2 years with Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, could you do worse? When if you just build up your team and then say, you know what, we'll draft Mac Jones in round 2, but this year we're going to go with Jameis Winston. Is there worse things? So, but yeah, you're going to draft a quarterback. I think you're going to take one right there at 7. I think you're going to take one at 7. And if you do, I always say the same thing. If you start a rookie quarterback, expect him to suck. And it's bad because you saw DeShawn Watson this rookie year when he started. It's like, man, there's something good about him. All right, you watch Justin Herbert look like an all-pro quarterback. You watch Joe Burrow look an all-pro quarterback. But bottom line, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, would they win 6 and 4 games? So if you do get a rookie quarterback, which you probably will, and if you start a rookie quarterback, you're going to suck. You're going to suck, but the future could be really, really bright. No, I don't want Coley to do his stuff with the wide receiver. The last time he was a head coach, his passing game was bad. I didn't know he was ever a head coach. When he was with Kansas City, they had some really bad receivers, but the passing game wasn't bad. He had success in Kansas City and working with an Andy Reid coach. I think he'll have a good offense and a good understanding. The Andy Reid head coaching tree is very strong. So I think that what they're going to do is use a multifaceted offense. And I think that what you're going to do is probably do a lot of what you did last year. It's basically what you did last year, in my opinion. It's kind of like the run and shoot offense. You did a lot of 3-4 wide receiver sets. You threw a lot of short passes. You let Deshaun Watson have the ball in his hands. You threw the ball a lot. You didn't have much of a running game. The only problem was that your defense just went straight to shit. But Lovie Smith will get turned around. The question is, what players are going to play where? Don't forget Ross Blacklock. I loved him in the draft last year. I loved him in the draft next year. If you move Watt inside, those two guys may be monsters. And if you keep Watt on the outside, that's still not bad. You have a Hall of Fame caliber defensive lineman. So I've seen worse. One Pride 40, you should be excited. You should be very, very excited. This is a great day. Enjoy the draft. And I'm warning you, you have no idea what's going to happen, but I can guarantee you'll be at least part of one trade. Also, Harold Crennel will help Lovie develop a new type of defense. Seems they want to build a mixed defense of both Romeo and Lovie. Normally, I would be very against that, but this day and age with those two guys, I think it would work because you have Romeo Crennel, who's one of the best defensive minds in the NFL. He's just a bad head coach. And then you have Lovie Smith, who went to college, and he didn't have success as a college head coach, but he was basically the architect of that Tampa Bay defense that did win a Super Bowl under John Gruden. They ran that Tampa 2 defense. So I think what you're going to see is a lot more Tampa 2 principles in that defense. But ultimately, what you find is in Lovie Smith's defense is you have to have a dominant defensive line. You have to have a dominant defensive line. And then one thing that these two teams do is that both coaches have in common is a physical secondary. You need that. Corners who can tackle. The difference is that Crennel ran a complex defense. Lovie Smith ran a very simplified defense. But ultimately you need a good defensive line, and you still have as of right now, you still have JJ Watt. Blacklock's going to be interesting. If I'm a Houston Texans fan, I want to hear Ross Blacklock is dominating in practice every single day. That's important. Not sure. Normally I would say no, but because these two guys have a lot of experience in working in some of the best defenses in the National Football League, I do think so. And then with Lovie just getting back from the college ranks, he probably found, and in college, almost every college team now runs a 3-3-5, which is a weird variation of the 3-4. And what it is that it's just more defensive backs in that it's more defensive backs than what it is, because teams run basically in college. You only have about 4 or 5 routes that receivers run. They use that hurry up, speed up offense. You have to run a simplified defense that you can have everybody. You have to have a simplified defense where you can cover against the run and the pass of a speed offense. So teams run a 3-3-5, 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 5 defensive backs, and that's being adapted more and more in the NFL. That's why I think a Lovie Smith, Romeo Crennel defense could work, because I think that what you're going to see is like a 3-4, except with a nickel base. So what you're going to have is 3 defensive linemen, you're going to have 3 linebackers, but like in a Tampa 2 style defense. It's not going to flow overnight. I wouldn't expect the Houston Texans to have a great defense, but what I want to see is that I wouldn't have a problem if they sucked for the first 2 months, but I think that what you'll see is that towards the end of the season, it'll be a lot better. And that's what you want to see. I believe the last time Coley had something to do with the wide receivers, he didn't do any good. He was in Kansas City as a passing game coordinator. I want to say in 2000, I think it was 2014, and he was the passing game coordinator, wide receivers coach, and the Chiefs went a whole year without a touchdown reception to a wide receiver. Now, keep in mind, Jamal Charles had, I think, 9 receiving touchdowns. Travis Kelce had a bunch of touchdowns. It was his essentially rookie year. He was drafted in 2013 towards ACL. I want to say he had 7 without looking it up. Alex Smith only had, I think it was 16 passing touchdowns, but the Chiefs ran the ball a lot. It was the only year Andy Reid's been in Kansas City that they didn't go to the playoffs, but it was a good year because the Chiefs started off 1-4. They ended up finishing at 9-7. They had some injuries along. It was a brutal season because the first week of the season they lost Derek Johnson, a Pro Bowl linebacker, and Mike DeVito, who was brought in to help with Bob Sutton's 3-4 defense. And it was a great year. It's just they didn't go to the playoffs. It's really rare that you have a year that you're 9-7 and you're excited about, but that's kind of what happened. But yeah, they didn't have a touchdown reception. It's like never happened before in the modern era of football. But it ended up he was still in Kansas City for the next couple of years, and they did have a lot of success. So I think that him just leaving the offensive alone, keeping Kelly, and then adding Lovie Smith and keeping Crennel, these are all good things. And what I'm waiting for, if I'm you, is just, hey, Watson's on board. And it's going to take some time, but Watson's not going anywhere. No Mac Jones. Yeah, Mac Jones. he's a guy that may go late first in the second, but he may be somebody that team's into that you may not see, and it could be the Lions. It could be the Lions. Right now, in bottom line, you don't know. Bottom line, you don't know. I feel like Fields. Okay, the reason why you're saying that's out of sight, out of mind. But once teams interview this kid, once teams listen to him talk, his value is just going to skyrocket. He sounds like a 10-year veteran, and he's only 20, and he's built like a linebacker. Matter of fact, Big Ten teams wanted him to play linebacker, and that's another thing that they're going to look at. They're going to look at Trevor Lawrence, who's about 215, 210. They're going to look at Kyle Wilson, who's 215, 210. Then they're going to see this 235, 240-pound dude who can run, who's got a big arm, who understands an NFL offense at 20, and he's more NFL ready than all of them. Right now, his value is going to fall. The closer to the draft, the better he's going to get. I think he'll have a meteoric rise, very much like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes going into the draft process was a third-round pick. Then he just picked up steam, maybe late second. And then, like right before the draft, it's like, well, maybe a team's going to trade into the top 10 for him. And that's what's going to happen with Fields. Fields' value is going to skyrocket, especially after his pro day, which he's going to ace. They're going to run it. Yeah, you're going to. Yeah, that's probably what you're going to see from Houston is a weird 3-3-5 hybrid. And that's something that NFL teams are going to adapt from the college ranks. And I think that's what the Houston Texans are going to try to do. They're going to try to run a Tampa 2 with a 3-3 base. And it's going to be a little unusual. It's going to be a little unusual, but I think they'll do it. I think they'll get it done. It'll just take some time. It'll take some time. So, but yeah, that's kind of what you're going to see out of the Houston Texans. But I would be shocked if the Houston Texans came out of the gate with a great defense. And I want to see what happens with Watt. Watt is more likely to move on from Houston than Watson. So, yeah. Our defense will probably suck for the first 16 weeks or so. Looks like we're going back to 9. I would hold off because the number one thing you need is somebody opposite of Harold Landry. Once you get somebody opposite of Harold Landry, and free agency is going to be big for the Titans because the cool thing with the Titans is you can leave your offense alone. Okay. You can leave your offense alone. And then all you need is I think you need 2 players on defense. I think you need somebody your number one needs, you need somebody opposite Harold Landry. You went after Vic Beasley. That was a disaster. You went after, oh, God damn it. Come on. All right, Clowney. Okay, you went after Javion. You signed Clowney. That's another thing. Clowney may come back. What if you get Clowney to come back? But more than likely, you're going to go ahead and you're going to go ahead and have somebody. More than likely, you're going to get somebody in the draft. And you also need a corner. You need at least one more corner, maybe 2. But this is going to be a very draft-heavy defense, or you could trade some picks. Free agency is going to be interesting. But when I look at the Tennessee Titans, I'm looking at 2 big things. I'm looking at opposite Harold Landry. I don't know why it's so hard. Jeffrey Simmons, by the way, is going to be a superstar. And then I need another corner. That's all you need. That's all you need to start. But hold off. Free agency is going to be big for Tennessee. Denver Gator, what's up, brother? In case you missed it, Alex has an OnlyFans that he's advertising today. So make sure you jump in on that. It's $12.99, and then it's $49.99 for the X-rated. So I'd rather have Jamie Newman. What team does he play for? The name sounds familiar. I'm drawing a blank. Newman is rising fast. I'm drawing a blank on the guy. I keep hearing about the guy. I forget where he played at. So, hey, Gator, sign up for Dan's OnlyFans. You know what I wear? I wear a cowboy hat and one of those barrels. Nothing else. Barrel hat, nothing else. $29.99. It's great. I'll take him over Mac Jones. Well, I haven't heard Newman going in the first round, but I have heard Mac Jones. So, I drew a blank on his name. I like how we are hiring former players as coaches. Okay, I do too. But one thing is, 2 years ago, the Cincinnati Bengals did the same thing, but guys had no experience, and it backfired. But because you're hiring experienced guys, and you're also hiring former players, I love what Detroit's doing. So you're in for a wild ride. Just if you draft a rookie quarterback, you're going to suck this year. That's all I'm telling you. Stand the man. Let's see that. I just wear it's a cowboy hat and a barrel, and I dance to. I dance to Too Legit to Quit. I do the whole dance move and everything. I love Too Legit to Quit. I love that song. I remember Can't Touch This was played. I was like, God, I never want to hear anything from MC Hammer again. And then Too Legit to Quit. I was like, oh God, I can't get enough of that. I love Too Legit to Quit. Man, I should play that. God, yeah. It's Too Legit to Quit on my OnlyFans. It's $29.99. I wear a barrel, nothing else. So, the Wake Forest kid, yes. Wake is actually funny. Wake Forest has I can't think of his name. They have a defensive lineman who could go as high as the first round, who's really, really good. They it's kind of funny because they didn't have a great team, but yeah, the quarterback's an NFL quarterback. I don't think he's going in the first round. I don't think he's got the NFL gun, but I heard he looks really, really good. I forgot all about him. Yeah. Ellinger, the guy from Texas. It's actually funny because they're joking around. He's like the starter at Texas for like 9 years or something. He seemed to be at Texas forever. Talented kid. I'd see him going like third, fourth week, Newman at Wake, then transferred to Georgia. Wasn't it just the opposite? Wasn't he at Georgia and then transferred to Wake so he could start? Now he kind of raises a red flag normally, but in that situation, I don't think it's that bad of a deal. He'll get drafted. I'm just not sure where. If you're thinking he's a guy who could come in as a rookie and start, I'd say absolutely not. Dan has some ladies in the chat next week. It's funny. I would rather sit here and talk to you guys about football than go out on a date with a beautiful girl any day of the week. Any day of the week. Basham. We'll be looking for that Bronco thing. I free ball. In my OnlyFans, it's the barrel, nothing else. Oh, man. I think the Senior Bowl you'll find, oh, yeah. I can't wait. I've been following with some of the practices, some of the highlights, but not as much as I would like. I apologize. I've said this a couple times. This week's been kind of a crazy week, so I haven't been able to do as much as I wanted to. Oh, Basham's the defensive lineman. Okay, I didn't know his name. I forgot it. But, yeah, I watched him play a couple times. I'm like, oh, wow. Look good in the Chiefs uniform, one Pride 40. He would look really good in the Chiefs uniform. Hey, Gator, would you trade? Matter of fact, that was one of the trade destinations. And I'd be curious to hear what Denver Gator says. Personally, I think you stick with Drew Lock. But that's the whole point of the show. Let's hear what you guys have to say. Ladies, break out the Starbucks Make sure if you can't fold them, hold them. Credit card swipe. So apparently I'm going to start an OnlyFans, and why not just start the TikTok? Like I said, I just found out TikTok's more than just dancing girls. So Jimmy, yes. Jimmy is asking, did anybody buy GameStop stock early this week? No, I did not. Why didn't I? I just found out about it. I don't pay attention to too many things, but I've been quietly buying Bitcoin. Bought a little bit of extra Bitcoin. It dropped around, I think it was under 31. I got some Bitcoin. I've been doing some Bitcoin. Didn't do any GameStop. I would if I did, I would send it down. Next week I'm going to go over my bets on the Super Bowl. But yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot of Senior Bowl participants. Aaron Donald was one. There was a lot of talk because Aaron Donald, not everybody was sold on the dude. Not everybody was sold on Aaron Donald when the Rams drafted him. And one of the guys who was a guy that stood on the table for an Aaron Donald is now your GM. So yeah. There's some big talk about Stafford. Fan base would love him on the Broncos. You would. I still think you stick with Locke. I think you stick and you build around Locke, but I've been hearing the same thing. Dan, you need a new core. If you bought any of the stock, hold the line. Yeah, it's actually funny. I do have a Robinhood account, and I bought a little bit of Bitcoin with Robinhood, but I was like, how much you guys charge in fees? And then they sent like a couple different letters with all these weird. I was like, God damn! I just asked a simple fucking question. So sorry, got a little rant here. Keep Locke behind Stafford. Stafford would be a good mentor and would crush the league with our young offense and decent to good defense. You could. I don't think you do. I don't think you do. I think you roll Luck out with all the weapons and the full off season. But I keep hearing Stafford to Denver, and I don't think you do that. But Slay was one. Ziggy Ansah. I remember because not only did he dominate, he had a great combine, and I think you guys took him at like fifth overall. So he was a guy. Darius Slay was one. I will watch the Senior Bowl. And we'll talk about it. A couple weeks after the Super Bowl, I'll start my draft video. Many players came from the. Ton of them came. The Chiefs came through. I was going to take the Chiefs at 3, talk about it next week. I'll bring it up right now. Right now, from my book, either 3.5. I'm going to wait till it drops to 3. I'm also waiting for prop bets to come around, specifically Sammy Watkins. I want to see what the number is. But we'll talk about that in next week's show. What do you think the Lions are getting for Stafford? That's actually been a very popular topic that we've been all over the place. And I think because you announced you're getting rid of him, you can't get a 1. You may be able to get a number 2. There was talk that San Francisco offered a 2nd and a 3rd this year and next year, but they're only going to do that. Here's what I left out is that they will do that, but they already have picks in play for Garoppolo. You can't have Garoppolo on your team, trade all those draft picks, and then bring Stafford on. You're not going to get a number 1. You can't get a number 1 for Stafford because the Lions held a yard sale and said, hey, we don't want him. But that's been a subject of the debate. Some of the guys here think that they're going to do some people in the comments section think that you're going to get a number 1. I don't think you advertise that you're going to get rid of somebody and then get a number 1. But we'll find out. So Alex is going to be my all-time worst person ever because he's terrible. Texan, yeah. You guys don't like Esterby, and I also heard that as of right now he's still around. So I just saw Rams earn the Stafford pitcher. I totally want Locke to be a superstar in Denver. I believe he's our guy. Stafford is only QB. I would take the start over Locke. Wow, that is high praise. That's extremely high praise, and I'm very high on Locke. And the Rams are in the Stafford pitcher. The 49ers are in the Stafford pitcher. Even though people don't think the Bears are in the Stafford pitcher, they are. There's a lot of moving parts in the quarterback world. I'm very surprised you feel this way. I would take Locke over Stafford, and the only reason I would do that is because I think you have the potential. Because there's so much youth in Denver, might as well build them all up at the same time. And you also get to keep them for Locke, because you signed him in the second round. He's only a 4-year contract. So if you sign Stafford, you have a hard time keeping Locke, because if you sign Stafford, okay, you start him for 2 years and then you hand the reins over in a contract year. You're not going to do that. So because Locke's entering year 3 out of a 4-year contract, if you bring in a quarterback, you got to get rid of Locke. So I'm thinking that this is the prove it year for Locke. Look at the contracts that are given out. You got Watson 4-year, $180 million. Patrick Mahomes 10 years, $1 gazillion. This is the year Locke needs to play well. He's literally could get 40, 50 million if he plays well this year, and he's got that chance. So I'm a Lions fan. I hate Esther. I'm glad we can agree on this, Pride. Alex offering a discount. Hey, Alex, if we offer the Dan Show discount, maybe we could instead of $12.99, maybe $9.99, offering fans Alex's OnlyFans, or maybe the premium content's only $49.99. We can work something out. Do you expect Detroit's roster to look like Miami? Not really. They're trying to build something very similar to what the Patriots had early on, where they had a dominant 3-4 defense, really good man corners. I think that what you're going to see is more like what the Saints do, where they run basically a 4-2-5, which is different than what basically in the NFL you have a lot of 4-2-5. In college, you have 3-3-5, and I think that's what Houston's going to try to adapt, the 3-3-5. But I would look at the Saints. That's kind of what you're getting. Take a look at the Saints. That's what you're going to see. I'm a Gators fan. But I've seen Stafford, Newton, and Manning kick our butts. Oh, I remember Stafford. I watched Stafford play for like 5 minutes as a true freshman at Georgia. I'm like, oh yeah, he's first-round quarterback. Big Stafford fan. And when I say that you're not going to get a number one, I want to be very clear. You're not getting a number one because you announced that you don't want it. Big mistake. Do I think home field advantage is a factor in the Super Bowl? No, I don't, because one, Kansas City's already won there before, but I think you're getting like 20,000 maximum, and I think you have to give an equal amount out to both teams. There's going to be a lot of red. Trust me, there's going to be a lot of red in that stadium. So I really don't think there is. I'm waiting for the line from my book. My bookie right now, it's 3.5. I'm waiting until it drops to 3. I'll break down a lot of detail. So we'll see, Dan, if you're all decked out in Broncos gear, then oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. Yes. You'll have a young revamped roster, and that's exactly what John Dorsey did in Kansas City. What he did, I'm going to try to shorten this. it used to be with the 4 preseason weeks, week 3 is where you get your starters, right? And there's also a big cut down day in week 3. Well, what the Chiefs did that was very unusual is they signed like 8 guys that were just cut. And nobody's ever done that as far as I know. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing? 3 of them ended up being starters, but like 5 of them ended up being major contributors. And they got people, it was even funny, local media is like, who's this guy? I mean, like, nobody knew who these guys were. 3 of them ended up starting, and that defense was good. They were on the defensive side of the ball, and nobody knew. It was funny. Local media is like, okay, I remember Ron Parker. Ron Parker got cut from Seattle, and he started for us a couple weeks later. And he was a damn good player. I mean, he found players out of nowhere. You're going to have a very young roster. There's going to be a lot of trades. Look, if you follow the news like I think you do, you're going to be like, who the hell are these guys? You're going to have, like, it's going to sound crazy. You're going to have like 2 to 3 new players almost every day. It's going to be nuts. You're going to love it. Yeah, he did. And you should. Don't retire his number. He did. Yeah, I don't think the Lions are going to be competitive until 2023 because how screwed up the roster is and cap issues. I really think that they'll be competitive 7-8 wins in 2 years. It'll happen fast. I say that because John Dorsey went to Kansas City, and took Kansas City from 2 to 11. And I don't know what he did in Cleveland, but the team went from, I think he arrived when it was 0, and there were like 8 wins the next year, if I remember right. Dorsey will make things happen quick. Now, when I mean decked out, I mean socks, the shoes. Yeah, Quentin Trisha really screwed this up. I'm going to miss Stafford 2-1 pride when the Lions drafted. Okay. Well, now we get an idea of how old Jimmy is. It is an end of an era, and it's sad, but I do think the Lions are doing some good stuff. This year's going to be bad. 2021 is going to be bad for the Lions. 2022 could be really good. Hey, guys, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to wrap this up because we're almost at 2 hours as it is. Kind of just, hey, man, we just did my favorite thing in the whole world. We just talked football. It's my favorite thing in the whole world to do. Next week, we're going to talk Super Bowl. I'm going to give you all my Super Bowl picks. Lots of prop bets are going to be available. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment below. You can always email me. I'll put it right up here. All my social media links are also down below. You can follow me on social media. More and more of you are doing that, which is really awesome, by the way. So, hey, man, it is great shows. I can't thank you guys enough for joining me. Don't forget, if you haven't already, give me a thumbs up. I don't look at YouTube. I may have 5,000 thumbs down. I have no idea. But anyway, hey, man, great show. Thank you all for joining. I will see you next week.